What's up, friends? I'm your host, Amanda Smith, and welcome to the Girl Gang podcast, the show where I chat with inspiring women about business, life's challenges, and building community, because we all need it. If you need a girl gang, this podcast is for you.
Hey Girl Gang listeners, this is Rebecca, the podcast manager. We have a special compilation episode for you. Some of our past guests will be speaker at the Boss Vision Conference. You will be hearing from Kat Renee, Amanda Nelson, and our keynote speaker, Tiffany Hendra. The Boss Vision Conference is this Saturday, October 23rd, and you can get your tickets in the show notes. We can't wait to see you there and enjoy the episode.
That a lot. I hear people, because they're, they think it's saturated, it's blah, 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 blah. And they don't want to be salesy and they don't want to do this, but like they're struggling to get their coins and they're, over here, not throwing a pity party, but they're like, I don't know what else to do. And so I asked, I really wanted to know because I was thinking about it. I love my business and I want to continue to cultivate something that I love and love to do, especially because it's mine. Like no one's telling me what to do. And so to hear like people out there might not be loving their business right now. What would you guys say if you heard that from people in your audience?
Renee, go.
So I love.
We're raising our hands, you guys.
Can I go first, please? Can I go first?
True teacher style. Yes, Renee.
Legit. She's like, I'm a teacher. I'm like, okay, do we raise hands? Is that how we're gonna do this? Okay. No, I think like I love my business. I know you guys too. Do I love everything about it? Yeah. No. Do I love having to wait to be amazing? Like, do I want it to happen overnight just like everybody else? Do I love having to show up every single day and, do the mundane tasks? No, nobody does. And if they tell you they are, they're probably lying or they pay somebody else to do it. But I love the highs. I love I know that every day I do show up, I feel accomplished and I feel closer to where I'm going. So I don't necessarily think people have to love their entire business, but you have to love a part of it. You know what I mean? The mission behind it and the reason why versus the mundane, boring shit. Like nobody wants to do emails. I'm sorry. No. I mean, if you're Kat's weird. Kat
love me a good
email.
And
I don't know if you guys know Crystal Church. Crystal Church, if you're listening, I'm talking about you now. She's like a copywriting queen and homegirl loves her some emails, and so I'm like, oh my gosh,
I need her in my life. Go ahead and send me
okay. Kat, what would you say if people are not loving their business right now?
I would say, and maybe this sounds a little harsh, but
bring it.
It's like happiness, whether it's in your business, whether it's in life, it's a freaking choice. And you can choose to be complacent and to not step outside your comfort zone. But man, if you choose to step outside your comfort zone, get a little comfortable with being uncomfortable, try new scary things, that is what is going to bring you the most joy in anything that you do. If this whole pandemic didn't happen, I would have never met Renee, because before I met Renee, before the COVID hit in March, like I was totally in my comfort zone. I was not showing up my face on social media. I was not doing lives on a regular basis. I was not doing video. I was being recluse, me who's not normally a people person, who is very just to myself and probably, if I'm honest, self-conscious about putting anything with my face out there. But once I said, stores are shut down. They're my main customer. They're not really ordering right now. I've always had this secret desire to be a public speaker but it's like that big scary goal that you're like, oh gosh, no, I can't even say that out loud. That's way too frightening. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to freaking go for it. And it has totally changed my life in ways that I can't even imagine. It's brought this new passion for my business, for the way that I interact with people like you, Amanda, and Renee, and the wonderful relationships that I've built just by sharing myself, by letting people get to know me, who I am. And sometimes people don't like it. I know that I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay, because you're going to get those bad comments no matter what if you put yourself out there. But the good ones, the people who truly connect with you and see the good that you're trying to do in the world, like that is what fuels your fire and keeps you going on the hard days, because there are so many hard days. You just need to decide, are you a fighter? Are you going to get back up on the days that are freaking hard? Or are you going to sit back down and admit defeat? And I don't think any of us on this podcast right now are ones who are going to just like accept failure and defeat.
Yeah, no, not at all. I am definitely like, okay, that didn't work. How can we make it work? Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Plan B. Absolutely love it. I am all about the tough love. I mean, I posted something today that was like, did you do a lot of work this week? Was it just sitting on your computer? Was it just playing with spreadsheets or playing with Canva? Or did you actually do shit that made a difference in your business this week, And like, I want to get comfortable with saying stuff like that because I don't ever want to be a sugar coating fairy.
Agreed.
I don't know why I said fairy, but anyways.
And we are not that type of women business owners either. We give it to you straight because you need it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not your mother.
Absolutely.
I'm not your, whatever. I'm like Renee said, she's the best friend you didn't know you needed. And sometimes your best friend needs to tell you that you need to fucking, oh, sorry. Are we allowed to swear on here? You
can say whatever you want.
You need to pick up the pace. You need to stop being lazy and
get your ass up, put your big girl panties on and let's go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. I think one thing that you guys do a really good job of is serving people. Obviously with like being honest and being authentic and teaching from your experience too. So what would you guys say if people are really struggling to find a way to serve their people? I think that's one thing I've heard recently is like, well, I want to, but I don't know what to do for them. I don't know what they want or like what they need,
It's mostly figuring out their pain point. Like, even because people will in my community will be like, oh, well, I just have a product. I can't provide value if I just have a product. And I'm like, yeah, but you can show us how to use it. Like, I use like to know it girls, because you know how you see some of them on Instagram and they're like, I ate grapes for lunch. Do you like grapes? By the way, this is on sale. This is on sale. Click my link. Like, what the fuck? What?
Wait.
And then they have like 300,000 followers.
Yesterday.
Mind blown.
I have to tell this story. Yesterday, my friend Elena Davies, she posted her story. She was watching the news and some girl anchor, they were talking about something. And she tried to connect it to a HelloFresh commercial, but it was like, the election's been so crazy, blah, 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 blah. And then she tried to hop, skip, associate to, and I just love HelloFresh because it's easy and convenient. And I was like,
that's a stretch.
Seriously?
That's a stretch.
Are you trying to sell us a HelloFresh ad on like CNN? I don't know what it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is embarrassing. Anyway, it was crazy. It's just like, it doesn't.
Everybody's waiting for Nevada and she's over here freaking, hey.
Like, we don't care. And that's what makes me change the channel or on Instagram, swipe to the next story, Anyway, carry on.
I mean, if that's your thing and people follow you because they want your outfits, like, I get it. Then don't try and squeeze in some grapes. Like, why? Do I need to know you ate grapes for lunch?
Just give me the sales
like,
on Amazon.
Yeah, just let me know how much your shoes are.
The bigger question is, why are you
know.
only eating grapes for lunch? Like, I can't survive off that. I need way more than grapes.
Speaking of dental,
we need some chicken nuggets.
Those models.
Oh gosh.
Anyway. Okay, so Instagram, you give them, or influencers, you give examples.
Yes. So I'll use a like to know it as an example, is because I'm heavy on Pinterest, right? Like, I'm all about providing value on Pinterest because Pinterest is the jam. If you are not on Pinterest, get your ass on Pinterest. So I always tell my girls, I'm like, okay, if you are doing like to know it and you just put a picture of yourself in your, selfie mirror, and then you put a click to link to buy your clothes, that does nothing for your customer, right? You just nothing at all. But if you say, 5 ways to style an outfit if you're going to a country concert, and you put 5 things and you're like boots, jacket, belt, whatever, and then you put some sort of value in there, show me how to style it, or one basic tee 5 ways. Like, think about the questions that people answer or that are asking you or thinking versus trying to sell. Like, think about the problem you're solving.
This is not a drill, you guys. Credo Beauty's annual Friends and Family sale starts today. 20% off of everything for 4 days only, and an extra surprise at the end of this message, so keep listening. If you don't already know, Credo is the largest clean beauty retailer in the U.S. with over 130 brands to choose from, skincare or makeup or body or hair care. They have everything you need to swap to cleaner and safer, good for you in the planet beauty routine. Credo actually has a store right here in Plano, Texas at Legacy West. You probably didn't know that. Where their clean beauty experts can help you find the right routine for your skin, your perfect foundation match, signature scent, and more. So here's the address, 7700 Windrose Avenue, Suite G160. It's right smack dab in the middle of Legacy West. So don't walk, run. This only happens once a year. Okay, this sale ends on Sunday, and as an extra surprise, the first 10 listeners to mention Dallas Girl Gang at the store will get a free mascara. Yep, you're welcome. Best excuse to start off your gift shopping in early season or just treat yourself. See you at Credo.
Yeah, for sure. So I am, like you said, the tripod traveler. I have been creating all of my own content with the tripod and an iPhone by myself for the past 3 years. So I love to be able to inspire people that like, no, you don't need to use your own photographer for certain things, specifically travel related. So I get paid to travel and I coach other people how to do it as well. And so there is a whole new beautiful market of souls who are trying to just sort of realize, what they're doing and what they don't want to do. And so I love being able to help other people and bring value within the travel, specifically travel influencer space. So that's what I do in a nutshell.
So what I think is so interesting about the travel space is like, even in a year like 2020 and when a pandemic hits, people like you can absolutely thrive. And then you can teach other people how to do that. So I don't know, we'll get into this more in a little bit too, but like, how did you feel and what was your gut reaction when March hit and you were like, oh, my life's going to look different?
Can I swear on this podcast? I was like, fuck, dude, fuck. It was obviously shocking. No one expected it, but I was working in the large scale event industry at the time, like 40 to 60,000 people events, right? And I was managing all of them. And so I had teams working under me who were looking at me to be like, are we still doing them? And I'm like, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. And internally I was like, what the fuck? And so I didn't take it that great at first because I'm always moving. I'm always doing something. My hands are always in something. I'm very type A in that aspect. So I'm like, go, go, go. And if anything tries to kind of like fuck with that energy, I'm like, no, not in Amanda's house, not today. So it was really difficult for me to kind of internalize all those feelings at first. And yeah, it was hard for everyone. I think we all kind of took it a little bit differently, but it was especially hard for me because I ended up, getting furloughed and then lost my job, but, later decided to quit anyway, which we'll talk about. But something that helped me, for anybody listening out there, if I can offer any type of a value, would be taking a step out of where I was and looking at big picture, which is exactly what I did. So I went to an island for 30 days. I went for an entire month and I just got really strategic about what I wanted my life to look like. Pen and paper, wrote it down. And not only did it help because I was able to kind of be in a different environment, but it just, I don't know, like, yeah, there's something about the beach, right? There's something about the sun. There was nobody there, but it was more of just that inner like solace that I was able to find when you take a step back, in your own life. You're like, this needs to happen, then this needs to happen. And you're planning all these things next week, next month. But when you really like kind of remove yourself from the picture and look at it from almost like an aerial view, you're able to see things so clear. So that helped me immensely.
I would love to just escape to an island for 30 days. That would be amazing. You're probably like, I need to do it again.
I do. I'm like, yeah, this is why I travel. I always need to like kind of have that escape for even it's just one day. It just helps clear your mind so much.
Yeah. So I did not know your corporate background. That's the cool thing about having people like you on the podcast is like, I'm getting to know you too and just asking my own questions because for my own curiosity. So
I've seen that trend this past year of like, well, I got furloughed anyway. I don't want to do this anyway. So like now is the time to choose a different path. And I think that's really like, I think we use the word inspiring all too often, but that is so inspiring to me to see people, wow, I have a moment or 9 months to think about, how's my life going? What do I need to do? Am I on a good trajectory? Like, and so that's really, it's stressful. And I hated to see, I mean, my husband lost a job too. You know, he was in the insurance industry and his clients were 65 and older. So that didn't really pan out. But it's been just exciting to see everybody like take action and like take a hold of like what they really want to do. So tell me a little bit more about like this job that you had in events, because I had no idea about that. And like events are obviously my jam. It's like partly what I do and I miss it like crazy.
Yeah, man. So kind of like stepping back really quickly, because I think you said something important, which was where people maybe were in the same position as me and then they got furloughed and then they kind of took a step back and then they realized maybe this isn't what I want to do. I was not even at that point. I think there's different stages, right? So you can be like, I hate my job, and then the furlough happens and you're like, yes. Or I'm okay with my job, and then the furlough happens and you're like, or the other end of the extreme. And so I think I was right in the middle because I have an entrepreneurial background. Backing up a little bit, I graduated college 10 years ago and I started a clothing company. And so I worked for myself, but then I worked for other people. And then I went back to working for myself. And so I have a ton of experience in events, people management, and operations. And so I said, if I ever were to go back into anything, it would have to be like large scale events. And the opportunity came up and I was like, hell yes. So I'm leading people. I'm doing these events, which I'm so passionate about. I love connecting people, seeing other people get business through my connections too. I freaking love it. I'm like thriving on it.
So much fun.
Right? Like you can relate too. It's just like being a connector. You're just like, y'all take it from here. Like I'm just going to make the intro and then you watch the magic happen. It's the best.
It is so magical. I love it.
It is. Yeah. And so I was doing that. I was doing that in Texas. Specifically, the San Antonio market was like the number one because I worked out of the Alamo Dome doing like home and garden shows and things like that. So yeah, that's a little bit about the events industry, but then I did like my own things too. So like I would host full moon circles in Austin, which is a much more intimate thing, and just like different events just based on what I thought was badass and cool, and retreats. And that's something that I would love to get into when things get a little bit better. But yeah, that happened, got furloughed, and then really just realized, maybe this is my chance to kind of make one of my passions a business. And that's exactly what I did.
I love it. So cool. So we have a lot more in common than I thought.
Yeah, it's not just the names. It's not just
the name. It's the events, and we're connectors, and oh man, I love it. Like,
yeah, what's your
so
Enneagram?
Much. I am a 7, sister.
Okay, we're the same.
We're the same.
We're the same. I'm a 7. I'm an ENTJ. It's like
I really think I am also an ENTJ. I know I'm an E because I'm extroverted for sure.
I love it. I love it.
What's funny is growing up as a kid, and I talk about this all the time. Growing up as a kid, I was highly introverted and like painfully shy. Like, don't calling me in class. I'm gonna sit here, read my book, do my thing, and go home. But then I have a music background. Like I was a music teacher forever, and that's my like a huge part of who I am. And so if you want to be a musician, you kind of got to get over being shy. And I was like, well, I got to perform. Also, it's kind of a grade because I'm like in choir and stuff. And so,
okay.
I had to kind of get over that.
We have so much in common. It's not even funny. We need to chat offline because I'm a singer. I've been singing my entire life. Like I got like
shut up
3 letters in high school for all of the time I spent in musical theater, choir, like all of the things. So yeah.
What the hell? Oh my gosh, Amanda, this is so fun. This is why I love doing this too. Also, low-key, we probably should have chatted more before we started recording, but no, whatever.
How people are like, all right, get to the point. Like, we get it. You guys are sisters.
You guys can fast forward. But so okay. It's time to stop trading time for money and start reaching more clients and making a bigger impact. And you can do that
with online courses. Try Thinkific for free today. Thinkific.com/DGG. That's THINKIFIC.com/DGG for 30 days free. Try it today. Away. What was that journey like to like discover that on your own, and why did you want that?
Oh, I love this question so much. And I am so excited that we went down this road as well, because I started the youth group band. I played the piano for my church youth group. My mom was the pastor. My dad was a deacon. My sister started missionary work. So it was a way of life for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I would not change a thing now at my age to have the relationship and the foundation and the faith builder moments constantly in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So the journey, what it looked like was living in LA and being a model, an actress who everything from my looks to how thin I was, how talented I could be, being a chameleon to get any casting director. It was part of my job as an actress or a model to go in and portray something else, to be able to sell a product. So
hard.
Yes. So you are judged, or you get the gig and you make a living off of all of these things, these things to validate you. So when I got married, which was the biggest blessing, because it was a year and a half after I hit rock bottom. And I think God knew that I needed an armor bearer beside me, because I had big things to do in life.
Yeah.
And I was going to need some protection. And my husband is such a beautiful, faith-filled man. I always say he came out of the womb with a little baby Bible. My husband loves the Bible. And he's read it front to back. This year's his 13th year. I finally did it. That was my greatest accomplishment of 2020. As I'd attempted it several times in our marriage, and I just would get distracted. Finally finished the entire Bible last year.
Nice.
So for me, though, in LA, it took hitting rock bottom, and then acting class actually was my first form of real therapy.
Oh, wow.
Which a lot of actors will tell you that acting class is, a little bit cultish. And you get in there and you just want to soak it up, because you do start learning so much about yourself. And then I started hanging out with, the acting class cult kids that were into yoga and all of that. And that was my path back. And I know Oprah talks about that a lot, and she gets, I think, a lot of flack from the Christian community about that, is that, we all have our path back to finding that relationship with, some people call it source. I don't believe in saying the universe. I think God created the universe, and that is my belief.
Sure.
But whatever that is for each individual. And so I did. I started going to yoga. I told someone in an interview a few days ago, I stood in line for 4 hours to get a hug and blessing from Amma, the patron saint of hugs, this really heavy set, joyful Indian goddess woman that goes around the world, and people stand in line for hours just to get a hug from her, because it's so profound. So that was my path back. I started with the books. A lot of books. I started diving into books. I started, after I hit rock bottom, I came here to Dallas and sobered up, and a girlfriend gave me, back then on a Sony Walkman, the Tony Robbins CDs for Unleash the Power Within. And I'm still a power walker. I'm moving meditation. I learn, I listen to podcasts while I'm walking. And that was the first male voice, or even, he coined the term life coach. That was the first male voice I had in my ear, speaking life to me. And not just positivity, but just speaking life and power. So I just continued. And then, of course, marrying my husband, who was a very strong Christian, he would leave every morning. He put music on the back burner, had lost his record deals, and would leave every morning at 4:30 to go to work construction. So I got my little journals and a Bible and all these books. And it was as if I had my own spiritual, I call it now my spiritual workout. How spiritually fit are you? And that every morning for probably from 4:30 to probably 2 or 3 hours, I would watch Joyce Meyer, TD Jakes, everyone on TBN. And I really soaked up Joyce Meyer because she had so much sexual trauma and so she just cuts through and, I mean, her ministry is actually called Enjoying Everyday Life. She keeps it very simple. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning. And I am so grateful for those moments. My husband and I just shared it recently on Instagram. We had those ramen noodle years.
Yeah, totally.
And so grateful for that.
And no one probably talks about that. People in your position with the people that are in your life, the experiences and the work that you do and the visibility as a public figure that you have, they don't talk about stuff like that. Not really.
It's uncomfortable.
I mean, it's uncomfortable. I think there are some celebrities that are starting to get more honest and vulnerable, which I personally love. But people need to see that. Like, what are we doing if we're not relatable? Like, what are we doing if we're not showing people I am probably just like you in some way, So obviously, let's talk a little bit about Real Housewives.
Okay.
Right. And get into that a little bit. And how did this really tie into your story? And then I really want to hear how did that also now lead you to being an empowerment coach, which I think is so interesting and people are going to want to hear about that. But yeah, let's talk about Dallas first.
Okay. Contrast.
Yeah.
It's all about contrast. So the greatest gift, and that was the hardest thing I've ever done in my career, I'm very honest about it, is the contrast. Once we moved here on a whim, leap of faith. My husband had been praying. He had a studio in Studio City, thriving studio. And slowly I was becoming more and more miserable, even though I had so much spiritual healing.
Sure.
I longed for that sense of community. And I had started my YouTube channel, Sanctuary of Style, as an outlet to start sharing all the things I was asked on a daily basis, from beauty, style, workout routine, lifestyle, all things lifestyle. But I knew in my spirit, I knew that eventually I would get to a place of healing and start talking about my healing journey, my spiritual journey, my trauma. And so it started off with all of the kind of external fluff and fun things. And so my husband, I'll never forget, he called me from the studio one day and we were living in this little bungalow in West Hollywood. And he said, babe, I've been praying about it. And I believe it's time to take you back home to Texas. And I was like, hold it. My husband is Australian. He loves California. And I was but I knew my husband, what a leader. He's truly the spiritual leader of our home. And I said, okay, well, if you're sure, I'm not going to call my mom because my parents live in Houston. I'm not going to call my best friends that live here in Dallas until he said, no, I'm sure. So I literally the next day got on a plane and came here without him to find an apartment or a house or something. We moved really quick. Yeah. It was scary as heck. And restarted our life. Not even, most people move with something set up.
Sure.
Nothing planned. And total leap of faith. And in 6 months, I was screen testing for this huge show on Bravo. Knew it was Bravo. So I take responsibility for that. I lived around the corner from Lisa Vanderpump's restaurant. I had done some speaking engagements with some of the gals from OC back in the day. I did a show for Kelsey and Camille Grammer when they were still married. So I knew all about it. I know all about Bravo. But we were a working title and we were not told it was Real Housewives until after we filmed the whole thing.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Is that common?
I think when it's a first season, right? We were supposedly, and then Potomac was launched at the same time, but we were the first iteration in 7 years or something. They had been looking at Texas cities they wanted a franchise in Texas. So I went in, I was real. I had enough spiritual healing. I was completely authentic, but thrown in with this best friend of mine from back in the day, literally modeled with Leanne at 16 in Houston. We were both from Houston. And then I come back, this whole new person, healed, off of drugs, this amazing Australian hottie husband, and had started my YouTube channel. I really had this desire to help women, especially young women, because of the trauma that I experienced as a teenager. So we're going to do this together. And the story, it was not a made up storyline. It was all completely real. And I thought this could be the answer. I'd been praying and vision boarding, and how can we take our platforms to the next level? And my sister almost won Survivor in 2008. So I knew the power of reality TV. And of course, living in Los Angeles and seeing that if you really went in strategic and intentional on a reality show, it could really help your business and your platform. So that's what I did.